So there you go. This is the full 2,700 miles of the Tour Divide. All the mountain ranges, all the lakes, all the rivers, all the towns, all the resupplies. It's all here. These are the ACA, Adventure Cycling Association's printed maps. So actually this is technically the Great Divide mountain bike route. And it's broken up into 7 maps, starting in Jasper, actually, and then finishing in Antelope Wells. And there's a number of deviations in the route from the Great Divide mountain bike route versus Tour Divide. If anyone plans on doing the Tour Divide or is interested in the route, these are a great resource, and it's a great way to support the ACA. So I recommend getting these. And now they have an app that I think probably does all of the same things this does, has all the information and whatever. So yeah, today I wanted to talk about planning for the Tour Divide in terms of resupplies and the route and knowing a bit about the route. I've attempted it twice now, and so I know the route all the way from Banff to basically the New Mexico border. I know all of the towns and resupplies pretty well, but I can always know them better. And so today I wanted to share a bit about how I do research and gain information for doing the ride. I want to take a closer look at the second map, which is kind of one of my favorite sections of the route, which is through the Flathead Wilderness, Flathead Lake area. The Flathead Lake is the biggest body of water the west of the Mississippi, so that's pretty neat. And that's the section that goes from basically Whitefish, then crosses over to Holland Lake and over Richmond Peak and Seeley Lake and down to Ovando and Lincoln. And so that's the section I want to focus on today for this video. It'd be too overwhelming to cover the whole route. So bit by bit, that's the best advice I can give for learning the route. So this is why the maps are great, because they have these service directories, and it gives a bunch of information about each of the areas that you're going through in each of the maps. And this trail guide gives you like even more detailed information about like what national forests and phone numbers and all sorts of great resources like that. This is the section that I wanted to focus on today, basically from like the Whitefish area. This is Whitefish Lake, and then down through Columbia Falls, and then eventually to Flathead Lake and Swan River and Ferndale, and maybe a bad example, but this is an example of why like your planning should be based on a few different things. It should be based on these maps. You should know just like the general geography of where you're going and what you're getting yourself into. But then it's also a good idea to look at previous routes. So every year the route is released on Topo Fusion for the Tour Divide, normally like the week of the event. So that's why it makes it really difficult to plan specifically for every year's specific route. But there's normally only a few deviations, so you can begin your planning a long time in advance and just understand that the route will have a few deviations. And even when you're out on route, if there's fires or if there's mud, sometimes they'll do like reroutes. And so the chances that you'll actually get to do like the whole entire route, vary from year to year. So with that, let's jump on the computer and take a look at how I actually start to plan for this. So this is a behind the scenes look at what my gear piles are looking like 2 months away from the Tour Divide. This is a bunch of gear. That's a bunch of gear. This is a bike. But this is what we're talking about today. This is the official 2024 Tour Divide route. And I guess the first step to even getting this route is knowing where to download it. It's it's a cool looking website. Topo Fusion is run by Scott Morris, who also runs Track Leaders. That's what's used to track the race. And Topo Fusion is Scott's GPS software that he was the first one to get GPX coordinates for the route. It's a really interesting story, and you should listen to the Bikes podcast if you want to hear the whole thing. But basically, it was a college project where he carried a computer, or a few computers, as I recall, down the route and would track it and upload the files or save the files to computers every few days. So that's why it looks like this. And so the week of the race, the route sort of gets finalized and firmed up and then gets uploaded to Topo Fusion. The Great Divide Trip link here. And then at the top, you go to the GPS data, and then so this is obviously the 2024 GPX file, and so you download it, and then you put it into whatever route planning software that you are comfortable with. I use Ride with GPS. It's great for these long routes because you can also split up the route into different sections. So the section I want to focus on today is basically the Montana section from Whitefish down to, call it, Ovando. This section. And I guess where I would start is just by noting the overall geography. So with this type of map, I can see a little bit of topo, I can see the town names, I can see big bodies of water, and that's a good starting place. I feel like it's worth mentioning that a lot of this research has already been done, and you can even buy route planning packages from places. I see it on the Facebook group all the time. People offering their route planning or selling route planning or whatever. And so this is an example of one of those that I just found on Facebook. Someone had done all of the research or a bunch of the research already and put a bunch of points of interest on this map. And so at this scale, it's obviously really overwhelming. But as you zoom in, you can see that they've even split it up into the water stops versus restaurants and campgrounds and lodging. So there's all sorts of detail in this. But for one, I don't know who made this. Apparently Dog Boy is who the owner of this is. So this is only a starting place. So I would look at this map. I would look at this map by starting my own research that way. But this is also a good resource in addition to what we saw in the paper maps. And then from there, I would do some kind of notes sheet or spreadsheet. And so this is an example of my spreadsheet from 2023. And this is given to me or lent to me in a pared down version from Tim Tate. So shout out to Tim Tate for giving me this kind of format. And it's roughly broken out into each state. For our purposes, we're going to focus on the Whitefish to Ovando section, which is only, 70 miles. And this is kind of the information that I would rely on for those 70 miles. And you get this information from looking at maps and zooming in and seeing where the route goes. And you can even turn on like a Google map and you'll get names of businesses along the route. And then you click into them and you get the address and information. And then depending on the level of information that you're looking for or that you need to feel comfortable, you would figure out the business hours and maybe even call them to confirm that those business hours are correct. And then you would put all of that information into your spreadsheet. So that's a 5-minute overview of how I would plan to do the Tour Divide. And so, as I mentioned, this is my spreadsheet from 2023, and I made an updated one that was basically just ripping off this one for last year. And for this year, I actually want to do a more thorough, detailed route planning. And so I'm going to start from scratch using the same techniques, the same methods that I just shared to do a more detailed spreadsheet. In addition to having the spreadsheet and having the spreadsheet saved for offline use, that's key. I would also save my map from Ride with GPS and make sure that is on my Garmin. I would make sure I know how to use my Garmin. I would make sure that I know how to load routes and maps on my Garmin. I would save the Ride with GPS file to my phone, and I would make sure that is available offline. And then also, I would then translate all of the information that I put in that spreadsheet to my pocketbook that I would carry. And this is last year's pocketbook. And in that, I guess I'll share a bit of it. I have just daily mileage goals with where I would plan to start and stop. And this is based on a 17-day strategy, 17-day finish time. And it doesn't allow for really any hiccups, any mistakes, any weather issues. So that's not really a practical way to plan. It's a good starting place, and it's a good idea to have daily goals. But as I've learned, it's kind of almost better to break your day up into hourly goals. So you should have like a 12-hour plan, you should have a 24-hour plan, and you should have a 36-hour plan. And that should be sort of flexible as you work your way down the divide based on weather, based on how you're feeling, based on resupplies. What's going to be open when you get there? When are you going to need to hit that bike shop? Are you going to need to do laundry? Do you need to take care of yourself? Do you need sleep right now? So all of that kind of stuff should play into your daily plan. And it's also an example of why doing just straight up mileage goals every day doesn't really work for me and is not super practical. So last year I developed this 4-segment daily schedule, each broken up into 4-hour chunks. And I would just try, it was always a goal to do like 4-hour, like focused moving, riding efforts, and then take 15-minute breaks in between each of those 4-hour chunks. And if you can be that regimented and that structured about your day, then, you know, the miles take care of themselves. So that's a great way to plan it. And it's what I'm going to try to do this year again. Also in my little pocketbook here is just a list of resupply items, grocery items that I know I like, because when you pull into a town, you're normally kind of fried from the ride. And so the last thing you can, even if you're standing in front of a wall of food, especially if you're standing in front of a wall of food, it can be overwhelming and you just don't know what you like. You don't know what to grab. And so I found that it's helpful to have a grocery list of things that I know I like. You know, on this side is like food items and trail mix and cheese and crackers and chips and donuts, and just like list it out. And then here's some drinks that I like: Red Bull hydration mix if they've got it, chocolate milk, orange juice, and then Coke and soda. And then at the end here, I just have a few toiletry items that I'll probably run out of somewhere along the way. So sunscreen, lip balm, bug spray, always a good idea to keep those things on hand. So that's basically my pocketbook from 2024, and I'll replicate something similar for this year's book. And that's the gist of it. I'm going to do my own research, and I would suggest that you do the same. So the only way to do that is by poring over the maps, whether you decide that ride with GPS and like Google Maps, and that's the most practical way for you, or if you think the physical maps are a better resource, then do that. We're 2 months away from the Tour Divide. I just got signed up for Pinions and Pines, which is a race in northern Arizona, starting and ending in Flagstaff. And that race starts May 14th, I think. So that's like 3 weeks away. And I've got a bunch of videos that I want to make in addition to this one. I'm working on a series of bike videos. One, I'll just be talking about the bike as it is right now. There's no bike packing bags or any luggage on it right now. I'm picking up my bags from JPacks later in the week. So in that video, I'll talk about how I would set up my bike if I weren't doing the Tour Divide, if I were just riding day to day. So that'll be cool. My second video, I'll talk about the bags from JPacks that I'm picking up, and that process, what it's been like to do custom bags from him. And I'll show a bit of footage from his shop, and we'll mount up my Tour Divide luggage to my bike. And in the third video, I'll talk about my dynamo setup. It's not absolutely crucial to do the Tour Divide to have a dynamo setup, and I wouldn't call it a luxury item either. It's definitely like on the borderline of like, man, this makes it so much easier to leave town, you know, if I don't have a full battery bank or my phone's not charged or anything, really. It just makes you more self-reliant and allows you to just push whenever you feel like it and not be limited by your battery bank. So those are the 3 bike-specific videos I have coming up. And then I guess the next Roads and Trails series video I want to do is talking about the challenges and overcoming those challenges that the trail and Tour Divide present. Thanks for clicking on this video. Thanks for sticking with me. I know that was a lot of talking and not any riding. 2 months, less than 2 months, like 50 days. We'll see you in Banff. Thanks for clicking on this video. Stay tuned. Like I said, lots of videos coming up. So, catch you later.